years. And when men and women work together with conviction, incredible gains can be achieved and built on. In my country, for instance, the support of male champions has been crucial in adopting the new 2024 election laws that penalize violence against women in elections. And on this point, I would like to pay tribute to our Secretary General, Mr. Martin Chugong, for the assistance that they have offered to the Parliament of Tanzania to make sure these laws are changed. As we will be having elections in October this year, I believe we will see more women participating because the laws are there to protect them. This has made the United Republic of Tanzania the first country on the African continent to do so. It is a victory for all of us, and I believe our colleagues will be following course. I am pleased to welcome all the men in this room. I hope that more and more of you will contribute to this forum in a partnership for gender equality, a partnership for the benefit of both men and women, and ultimately the whole society and the whole world. For all these reasons, I thank this forum for its 40 years of such a powerful work. I would like to once again pay tribute to all of you for coming to this forum, but also for coming to this assembly. This is the place where we can share ideas, but also encourage each other. For those who are going through difficulties, when they share with you, encourage them, so that we don't lose the numbers that we have already in place, so that we have more women convinced to join politics. And on this note, while I'm about to wind up, I would like to also pay tribute to the Speaker of the Senate here. She has come with a big group of young ladies and boys, audience, here to come and learn how politicians talk, how parliamentarians talk, how do they advance the issues of global importance. So thank you so much. Yes, you can see they are standing there. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. We really appreciate that, and it's very important that all of us, when these assemblies are done in our countries, we emulate this good example. It's good to encourage the young boys that they can work with girls. It's good to encourage the men that they can work with women. So while I would like to thank all of you for coming once again to Uzbekistan, I would like to say that I look forward to listening to your insights, because we want to make IPU a better place for all of us, a place where every voice counts. So thank you, all of you, for being part of this exceptional journey that this forum is taking place here, while all of you are here, but you have attended in big numbers. With that said, colleagues, happy anniversary. Happy 40th anniversary. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Katta rahmat To'la Ekson xonim. Birinchi navbatda tabrik so'zlaringiz uchun minnatdorlik bildiramiz. Parlamentlar faoliyatida xotin-qizlar roli to'g'risidagi barchamiz uchun muhim bo'lgan fikrlaringiz, tahlillaringiz uchun minnatdorlik bildiramiz va albatta hammamizni yana bir bora gender tenglikka oid masalalarga ilhomlantirdingiz. Katta rahmat. Endigi so'z navbati parlamentlar aro ittifoq bosh kotibi, gender tenglik bo'yicha chempion hurmatli Martin Chugong janobi oliylariga beramiz. Bu kishi biz uchun, hammamiz uchun qadrlidir. Marhamat, Martin, sizga so'z.
Can everyone hear me? Is this microphone? Yes, it's working. Madam Chairperson of the Senate of the Republic of Uzbekistan, dear friend Tanzila Naibayeva, thank you for giving me the floor and congratulations on your elevation to the office of President of this forum. Madam President of the IPU, Dr. Tulia Axon, members of Parliament present in this room, I see a packed room, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be part of this wonderful ceremony intended to celebrate 40 years of achievement, 40 years of a glorious journey towards gender equality initiated by a group of visionary women in the Parliament and the IPU. I must say that your forum has made the IPU a champion of gender equality. And that was not a given. Let me take you on a trip down memory lane, drawing on the institutional memory of our organization. Back in the early 20th century, women's access to political rights did not inspire much enthusiasm, including among the founders of the Inter-Parliamentary Union itself. Indeed, one of the two founders of the IPU, Randall Kramer, was strongly opposed to women's suffrage. So, the context was not very conducive in those days. Progress was slow. It was not until 1921 that the first two women attended the Inter-Parliamentary Conference along with 108 men. It was only 1 year later, in 1922, that Miss Anthony Pooms, the name is difficult to pronounce, was the first woman to speak at an IPU assembly. And then we had to wait until 1987 for the election of the first woman to the IPU Executive Committee. It is only at the very end of the 20th century, in 1999, that the first woman was elected President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, namely the Indian Mrs. Najma Heptullah. And that is a full 110 years after our organization was founded. Seeing all of you here today and on this podium, witnessing three illustrious women as presidents, I can only think that despite its own challenges, this century seems to be better than the previous one. I must say that in this room, I think I'm the only one who was there in 1985 in the IPU to witness the birth of the women's movement in the IPU. I was not an official of the IPU. I was a delegate of my country, Cameroon, to the IPU in those days, and I did see history made in 1985. But I must say, before I come to 1985, that women in the IPU were not sitting around waiting for the last century to end. On the contrary, the fight was on. And so, in 1985, a group of 22 women parliamentarians from different parts of the world laid the foundations for what was going to become the world's first Forum of Women Parliamentarians. I would like us to pay tribute to the determined women who dreamed of this forum and shaped it into reality. You can imagine the resistance they had to face. And I must say that that resistance is here still. It took 13 years of determined action before the forum was recognized as an official IPU body in 1988, in transforming the IPU into a model of gender equality. It has reformed the IPU to ensure women's presence and influence in its structures, bodies, and secretariat at all levels. Since 2003, mixed delegations have become mandatory under threat of sanctions with significant results. In 1985, the percentage of women delegates at the IPU Assembly was 7%. This week in Tashkent, 37.3% of the delegates are women. So you see the progress that has been achieved in this regard. Moreover, we can be proud that thanks to some incentivizing, we are now seeing a remarkable shift towards parity in most IPU bodies. The forum has been instrumental in contributing to gender equality in all IPU outcomes. Not only is gender mainstreamed in key IPU resolutions, but the 2016 resolution on the freedom of women to participate fully, safely, and without interference in political processes was the first on the international stage to set parity in politics as a goal and to address the issue of violence against women in politics with concrete recommendations for parliaments. The forum, and in particular the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians, has been a strong advocate of the IPU's gender equality policies. It has played a key role in ensuring that the promotion of gender equality is at the heart of the organization's strategy and is enshrined in our statutes and rules. The Bureau and the Forum were also instrumental in the adoption of the policy to prevent and address harassment, including sexual harassment at IPU assemblies and other events. Such significant achievements have inspired reform internationally. Many other international and regional organizations have followed the IPU's lead in adopting quotas for women in delegations and other gender-responsive measures. I have the good fortune of being the chair of the Global Board of International Gender Champions, and I have had the privilege and pleasure of sharing IPU's best practices worldwide. The impact of these reforms is also being felt in parliaments. Under the impetus of the forum, the concept of gender-sensitive parliaments was developed more than 10 years ago, calling upon parliaments to transform fundamentally and ensure equality, justice, and inclusion. Parliaments were also called upon to end tolerance and impunity for sexism and violence against women in parliament by adopting guidelines for safe and respectful parliamentary workplaces free of sexual harassment and intimidation. These significant changes would not have been possible without you and the many solid international partnerships that the Forum has built over the years, whether it is UN Women, with whom we have just co-produced the very successful map on women in politics, and organized, or the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, and many other partnerships that would take too long to list here. These synergies and solidarities are key to the Forum's achievements and to the IPU's work. Even if headwinds try to push us backwards, we have the opportunity to build on these 40 years of progress and success and make history together. The Forum has been a leading light in guiding parliaments and governments to implement gender-responsive policies and protect women's rights. Seeing all of you in this room makes me so hopeful for the future. We are here to celebrate and shine that light brighter to achieve gender equality. And let me use this opportunity to pay tribute to the President of your Bureau of Women Parliamentarians, Cynthia Lopez. She has been a driving force of the gender equality movement in the IPU for the past 2 years, and she took us, maybe sometimes screaming and kicking, to Mexico this year for the historic Global Conference of Women Parliamentarians, which we have now pledged to make an annual event in the IPU. So Cynthia, thank you very much for your support, and we look forward to working with you, because gender equality is clear, it's beneficial, and we must stand together in response to any attacks on our heartfelt or hard-won gains. I'd like to join the President of the IPU to address my heartfelt congratulations and felicitations to all of you on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians, and I look forward to supporting you as you work doggedly towards continuing to strengthen your organization as the leading force of gender equality. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Katta rahmat Martin Chungong janobi oliylari, sizga barchamiz ayol parlament a'zolari nomidan yuksak siyosiy irodangiz uchun gender tenglik masalasini hamma assambleya majlislarida, boshqa majlislarda qo'llab-quvvatlab kelganingiz uchun yana bir bora minnatdorlik bildiramiz. Hurmatli hamkasblar, marhamat, endi so'z navbatini Meksika Senati a'zosi, ayol parlamentariyalar byurosi prezidenti Cynthia Lopez Castro xonimga beraman. Marhamat, Cynthia.
Thank you very much. I want to first of all thank Madam Chairperson of the Senate and President of this Assembly, Ms. Narvayeva, for your hospitality to make this conference an amazing conference, and we are very pleased and very happy to be in your country, Uzbekistan. Thank you for all your hosts from all of us. Thank you. I also want to congratulate that she works very hard all the time in IPU. She's a speaker, she's a mom, she is the third president woman in IPU, and she has been doing a great work in our organization. Thank you, Ms. Tulia, because it's not easy to do everything that you are doing. So thank you so much. Also, congratulate our Secretary General that he is not a champion just in the nomination of gender equality. He all the time is supporting women. Thank you so much, Secretary General, for all your support. Thank you. Thank you so much. And of course, I want also to pay tribute to those who supported the forum 40 years ago. So the Secretary General of the IPU in that time was Ms. Christine Pintat, the first Secretary General of the forum, Ms. Karen Habre, and now I also want to congratulate our dear Seina and all the members from the Secretariat. Thank you so much, because you do a lot of work. So I want to congratulate the members of parliament that were elected yesterday, as member of the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians, I see here Fatma Onku here that was elected, and if someone was elected could stand up, we would like to congratulate all of you for your election for yesterday. So congratulations to all of you, and thanks the members of the Bureau that are here participating in this Forum of Women, and especially I want to congratulate our Vice President of the IPU, Gabriela Morawska from Poland is here. I think, yes, our Vice President, Gabriela, thank you so much. And now a woman that is also Vice President. So in IPU, it's time for women. I want to make to tell you, to confess you, that for me it has been a dream become true when I was elected President of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians to make possible this conference of women in IPU, because I have been in IPU 7 years and I all the time see that we have the Forum of Young Parliamentarians, and we were fighting for this 2 years ago. I want to thank the Secretary General, the President Tulia, and the members of the Executive Committee that support to make a conference of women parliamentarians. So it's a big legacy from all of you to the IPU. We will go one day. We are not parliamentarians for all our life. Next generations are coming. So I feel very proud, and I want to thank you, Ms. Mikhailova, for your support, Kitgwa Godalena from Republic Democratic of Congo, and all the members of the Bureau, Ms. Speaker Muti from Zambia, and all the members of the Bureau and the Executive Committee to support. And now we have a conference of women parliamentarians. So we will go, and next generation will remember that it was in 2025, the year of women, that we have the first conference of women parliamentarians. So I feel very proud. I feel very happy. It was in Mexico, in my country, and with the first president in 200 years. That sounds easy, but to be president in a country where it was no women voting 75 years ago, and now to have a president, it's a big challenge. So the conference was very successful. We have the participation of 62 countries, and thank you. I want to thank all of you that I see here, all your faces, that were part of the Conference of Women Parliamentarians, because in most of the cases, it was not in the budget of the parliament, and you make a big effort to go. I remember when I was here is Carmen from UK, that we have the visit, I think like in January, and we were talking about this, and she said, it's not a conference that is doing every year, so it's not a planned budget for our parliament, and they go. So I want to thank you, the UK and all of the countries that make a big effort in the budget to go to this conference of women. And also I want to thank you, all the men that were attending the conference. We have 37 members of parliament that went there. And I think we will propose that this Forum of Women Parliamentarians, we want more men also participating, because we will not have gender equality if we are not women and men on the table. So thanks for all the men MPs that are here with us. And it's a very important year because also we are celebrating 30 years of the Beijing conference. So making a recap about Beijing, 30 years ago, they were a group of women fighting for our rights. They imagined gender equality, and they never think that they didn't know when it will happen. Now we have 8 countries in the world with gender equality: Rwanda, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Mexico, Cuba, New Zealand, I think UAE, and I think I'm missing one. Rwanda, I mentioned. So now we have 8 countries with gender equality. Now we have almost 28% of women in parliament. So of course we need more women in parliament, but now we are increasing our numbers. We are, of course, half of the population, and we need to have half of the seats of parliament because it's parity. It's what we need to have it. It's parity that we represent what we are. We are not asking for a favor. We are not asking to give some seats for us. We are just asking to give what is correspondence for women, that is half population, half of the seats. So also we have 11% of women that are head of their countries, that are prime ministers, that are presidents. We only have 18 in the world. So we want to increase our numbers. So I am very proud for this effort that IPU is doing every year. Now we have the map. You have it outside in the table. We launched this map of 2025 Women in Politics, and also we have the report of participation. Well, we have the report of participation of women, and we announced the IPU study on violence against women in parliaments Asia Pacific. So we have to keep going. In 2021, there were parliaments with no women in parliament. Imagine that. It was until 2022 that all parliaments in the world has at least one woman. So we need to keep fighting, to keep speaking loud. We need to keep making these forums. We need to keep raising our hands, and we need to keep fighting for parity in all the world. So I just want to close this speech inviting you, first of all, on April 7 at 12 for a special assembly segment of the 40th anniversary of the Forum of Gender Equality. Also, I want to thanks our host, and remind you that we have the dinner of women's parliamentarians on the 7th at 8 p.m. in the Intercontinental Hotel. All of you are very welcome. And of course, I want to announce that this conference of women parliamentarians will be every year. So we will have the Conference of Women Parliamentarians in 2026 in March, and we hope to have it each year. So thank you for your support to make this possible. Also, I'm happy to announce that it was a big effort, and we have the support from the Secretary General, for our President Tulia Axon, and the members of the Executive Committee, to have the first regional meeting of women that will be in Asia. So also we will be looking for volunteers to host this conference in Asia. So again, we are creating a lifelong connections, and thank you for the support. And celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Forum, just not a celebration of the past, but a powerful reminder of the work that is ahead. Let us renew our commitment and breaking down barriers, supporting each other, and ensuring that gender equality remains at the top of every national global agenda. Thank you, all of you, and let's keep working so hard women empower. And 2025 is time for women. Thank you so much.
Hurmatli Cynthia Lopez Castro xonim, mana hozir hammaga minnatdorlik bildirdilar Cynthia gender tenglik masalasida berayotgan yordamlar to'g'risida, lekin 7 yil ichida Cynthia siz o'zingiz ham parlamentariy ayollarni qo'llab-quvvatlash bo'yicha juda ko'p ishlarni amalga oshirdingiz. Shuning uchun sizga ham hammamiz nomidan minnatdorlik bildiramiz. Hurmatli hamkasblar, endi ruxsatingiz bilan ayol parlamentariylar forumi tarixiga oid taqdimotni e'tiboringizga havola etamiz. Marhamat.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see this room, beautiful room, so full. Madam President Narbayeva, thank you very much for hosting the forum here in Tashkent. Here is a short presentation on the history of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians so that you can all keep the history and the memory alive. It all started in... Do I have some? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Grace. It all started in Lomé, in Togo, in Africa, 40 years ago, in 1985. The women's movement has made great strides in Africa and from Africa to the world, including here at the IPU. And 40 years later, here we are in Central Asia, where women's participation has advanced as well, especially here in Uzbekistan. Let's take a trip back in time, when in 1985, women parliamentarians decided to come together at the IPU. They started by so doing to join forces and use their collective experiences to make women's voices heard. They joined forces to take action for gender equality and women's rights and empowerment. And they joined forces to support increased participation of women inside the IPU and worldwide as well. As the Secretary General mentioned in his notes earlier, it was, however, a rocky start, because one of the founders, Mr. Randall Kramer, who was a co-founder of the IPU, was a person fiercely opposed to the suffragette, the first militants for women's rights to vote. However, in 1921, it was the year when 2 women attended for the very first time an Inter-Parliamentary Conference. And since then, here at the IPU, women's influence has grown. In 1922, a woman took the floor for the very first time at the conference, Mrs. Antonia Pfulf. Her speech was greeted with enthusiastic applause. In 1958, it was the time when IPU's adherence to the principle of equal civil and political rights was made. In 1975, the first IPU report was launched on the role of parliaments in achieving gender equality. This report was followed by a resolution, where in 1975, we are 20 years before Beijing. In 1984, an IPU resolution on parliamentary action on equal rights and responsibilities between men and women was adopted. Again, this is 11 years before the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. Women joined forces in 1978, but back then it was just over a cup of tea. That was the first meeting
No?
Can the podium know if the translation from English to the other languages is
Maybe.
Okay, I will try to continue in English just when until we have interpretation, my dear President, I will continue with this. So, we are in the point number 2. Dear colleagues, let us now begin our work with the adoption of the agenda. So you have before the agenda of the forum, which was discussed by the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians in the session held in Geneva 2024. I invite you to adopt the agenda by acclamation. Yes, my friend. Adopted. Thank you, colleagues. We have many interesting topics on our agenda today, and I'm sure that we will have lively and interesting discussions. Now we will go to item 3 of our agenda, that is focus of our recent activities. Let me start inviting Ms. Véronique Rioton, member of the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians from France, to brief our work carried by the Bureau in the last sitting. So, Ms. Véronique Rioton, you have the floor. Also, I would like to invite our Vice President of IPU, Ms. Gabriela Morawska, is here. Okay, if she can be here in the presidium with us. Thank you. Nick, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente, chers
Thank
collègues.
you, Madam President, dear colleagues. It is a great pleasure to inform you about the work of the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians, and I will talk about the work that's been carried out by the Bureau in Geneva last October and this morning in Tashkent. First, allow me to wish our forum a very happy 40th anniversary. The progress that we have made is significant and it does us honor. Our feminist vision, which promotes parity in decision-making, inclusive and gender-sensitive processes, true integration of the gender perspective, and the defense and promotion of rights and freedoms of women and girls is very relevant today. We can celebrate our progress, but we have to remain vigilant, and let's continue to pave the way for a better future for everyone. We have seen many pushbacks on the rights of women. Our work is very necessary. I'm particularly pleased that the IPU has decided to launch a campaign on gender equality in 2025. Thanks to this powerful and regular initiatives, we can accelerate the mobilization of the parliamentarian community in support of equality. I'm also very pleased with the continued work of our organization in combating violence against women in politics. The IPU and its partners, the Commonwealth Parliamentarian Association and the ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Assembly have just published a study on sexism and violence against women in parliaments in the Asia-Pacific region. And this joins 2 other studies that have been carried out by the EPU on this issue in Europe in 2018 and Africa in 2021. The study in the Asia-Pacific region revealed that 76% of women parliamentarians interviewed had experienced psychological violence and 25% had been subject to sexual harassment during their term. Online gender-based violence is also rising compared to rates found in previous studies, and 60% of the parliamentarians in this study were targeted by this type of violence in the form of hate speech, disinformation, image abuse, or the disclosure of their personal data. Women under the age of 40, women from minorities, and unmarried women face higher rates of violence. And more than half of the incidents of sexual harassment targeting women parliamentarians took place within parliamentarian premises and were committed by male parliamentarians. However, for the women parliamentarians who took part in the study, 85% of online assaults, 59% of threats, and 45% of cases of psychological harassment came from members of the public. We are very concerned about these figures, which show the real challenges that women in politics face. These violences have consequences on the health, safety, and work of women parliamentarians, as well as on democracy. Fortunately, parliaments have started to take action, including creating mechanisms for reporting and handling the complaints in a confidential way that are related to bullying and sexual harassment. But we need to continue implementing these reforms. Out of the solutions that are being considered, our Bureau of Women Parliamentarians in Tashkent will pilot an online safety training program for women in politics. This training was developed by the Australian Commissioner for Online Safety, and this will give us the knowledge and tools to protect and defend ourselves online. And we hope that this tool will be made available to everyone soon. And practically, we will also have a study and all of the publications from the IPU. And on gender equality, it will be the 7th of April at noon, and we will have our plenary assembly at this time. Thank you very much for listening.
Dear participants, now according to our agenda, we will actually watch the video. So please watch this video. Well, now we'll watch video, then we will give the floor to Civil. Okay, thank you. Dear participants, we have you just watched the video of the active women who actively participated in the forum's activities for past years, and now in this Inter-Parliamentary 150th Assembly, we will dedicate our attention to the activity of the interparliamentary groups. We have 2 men and 2 women in this group who will work in terms of coordinating and monitoring of gender equality issues. Now I want to give the floor to the member of this group from Azerbaijan, Sevil Mihalova. Please, floor is yours.
thank you very much, Evgenia Vardanian, sis. And now I will give word on the word achieve goals of sustainable development, and we will consider a matter of mitigation of a long-standing violent conflicts, and we give floor to the member of Namibian Parliament, Ms. Giussetta, please. And now, Buteka, Ms. Buteka is absent for good reasons, and Ms. Vardanian, we thank Mrs. Vardanian, and if they participate in the groups, and we will like to thank them. But please, dear colleagues, whoever wants to join each group, please go, and we start and resume our work in 1430. And goodbye to everybody, and we'll meet you again. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like, first of all, to thank all the speakers today. Thank you all for your opinions and for your valuable ideas to guarantee the participation of women equally in the decision-making processes and in preserving sustainable peace. In this context, I would like to share with you the proposals of the parliamentary section in UAE regarding the draft resolution, which is the role of parliaments in advancing a two-state solution in Palestine. And this is going to be discussed in the Standing Committee on Peace and Security as follows. First, the sentence supporting building the humanitarian and institutional capacities, whereby the draft resolution would guarantee that parliaments would have the necessary skills to play their legislative and supervisory roles. And this would enhance the international cooperation as well as the political stability. And this would support democracy through empowering parliamentarians to be able to represent the citizens efficiently and proposing legislations that would be much more inclusive. Second, we would like to add the sentence encouraging the participation of women and enhancing gender parity, as well as enhancing the electoral processes in paragraph 11 of the draft resolution, which would contribute to having more fair political representation and more inclusive representation, which would enhance the democracy and which would guarantee laws reflecting the needs of the populations at the gender level. Enhancing the transparency of elections and gender parity would enhance confidence and trust in the political processes, and it would support the political stability, which would contribute to building more sustainable governance systems. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the same type of ideas that as the colleague who preceded me, our country is very engaged on this issue, the Palestinian issue. We have various different points to contribute to the resolution. Firstly, we have to say that the Palestinian people have suffered the repercussions of the occupation, these violences. And what is important for us as legislators is that we have to have an important role in finding a solution that is equitable and durable for the Israeli and Palestinian people. Another point that we think is very important is to promote a diplomatic debate which is integral, and the legislative assemblies should play a role in this diplomacy. We have to promote actions to create peace in respect of the UN resolutions, particularly Resolution 242 and 338, which would have two peoples living in security and with borders that are recognized and protected. It is our responsibility to establish the conditions to create exchange between the different actors. Another point is to restore sanctions and dissuasion measures to promote human rights. Parliaments must implement laws that sanction individuals that attack the rights of the Palestinians and carry out illegal actions, the violence and the occupation of the territory. We also should support all international initiatives that encourage Israel and Palestine to have constructive dialogue to create a Palestinian state that is viable. And another point is that we have to have aid mechanisms for the Palestinian people. The Assembly should also encourage international support for Palestinian refugees and to create conditions for the return of the people in security and dignity and to have a complete peace. We also have to recognize the Palestinian state on an international level. The more countries that recognize, more countries should recognize Palestine as an independent state. We can do this by making sure that all members of the UN recognize the state of Palestine, and this is a strong measure to support the Palestinian people in their self-determination. Furthermore, we have to protect women, boys and girls, the elderly as well, and we can support the humanitarian aid programs for education, for health, and humanitarian aid programs that will allow the protection of women and children who are affected by the Israeli and Palestine conflict. We also must, lastly, we must act against violence through sanctions, and we must promote the rights of women and children in the occupied territories. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you to the President. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. I would like to thank the hosting country for their warm welcome, and I would like to thank the president of the Bureau for organizing the last conference in Mexico, and for organizing this conference, this global conference for women parliamentarians in a country globally every year. As to our subject today, women and children are the first people who are affected in any crises in the world. As parliamentarians, we cannot accept what's happening currently in Gaza. Algeria's position is the same when it comes to all causes in all the countries, especially in Palestine. Regarding the participation of women in peace, it is very important. We form half of the society